everybody, it's Angelo with Angelo's Workbench. Welcome to video number 2 in the Revell Foose Custom Cadillac Eldorod video series. This episode is all about paint, and more paint. The body, having already been put in primer, is now going to be sprayed with the beautiful Mercedes Northern Lights Violet Metallic, the color I have selected for this car, and that is what's going on the hood at the moment. Then we are also going to get into painting the rest of the parts for the car. I'm not going to show all of them in the video, but I'm going to go show enough of them. And I'm also going to show my entire process for painting parts on masking tape using a dehydrator in between sessions, painting both sides of the part, all 360 degrees, so you get no missed areas on the part when you're painting. For the body, I start out with the easy to miss areas first, around the edges and the underside, to make sure that I don't miss them, and then I go on to the rest of the body. I realize that it's hard to see in this video shot because my camera is misadjusted. I have made changes to how I use my camera, so future videos, this will not happen. We won't have a beautiful shot of my wrist. We'll see a little more of the car, which would be nice. But for this one little portion, I didn't want to cut it all out because I wanted to talk painting the edges first and then going in. Also, because this is a metal flake paint, I am spraying all down the entire side of the car. I'm not stopping at any body panels. I'm not stopping in the middle. I'm shooting the paint all the way from start to finish, front to back on the body. Those of you with a keen eye are about to witness me about to narrowly avoid disaster. This is why you use your paint cup on your airbrush. Oh, there it went. The big glob of paint that just narrowly missed the body and landed on the paper in my spray booth. Had that landed on the body, I would have had a mess, and that is why you always put your cup on top of your airbrush to avoid spilling any paints while you're slinging the airbrush around. I had forgotten to put my cup top on, and look at what happened. Now we're going to move on to the interior pieces. One of the really cool things about this car is that there is some body color on the interior, and it's a two-tone, the color of the car, exterior color, and this really nice dark brown, and then also a lighter color as well, a lighter tan, and the interior looks absolutely outstanding. I'm going to try to replicate it as closely as I can. I think it's going to look great. I usually try to assemble engine blocks whenever possible before I paint them. It makes it easier to be able to get rid of seams and make any adjustments to it, sanding that needs to be done, and then paint it as one solid piece. I did make a mistake and glue the valve covers on because I was under the impression that they were supposed to be gold along with the rest of the engine. That is not the case. The valve covers are supposed to be the body color, so they would have to be my Northern Lights Violet Metallic. This is also true of the air cleaner. The valve covers and the air cleaner are supposed to be body color. So make sure that you don't make the same mistake I did. I did, after the fact, remove them and paint them Northern Lights Violet Metallic and then put them back on the engine. The glue I am using is Tamiya's extra thin cement. I really like the applicator that comes with it in the bottle. It's a very small brush, very easy to get the glue into small cracks and crevices. Capillary action will actually suck the glue in. For plastic to plastic bonding, this stuff does a very good job. And now we're getting into painting the gold parts. For the parts that can be clipped onto a clip or mounted onto a toothpick, that's what I do, and then I can paint all 360 degrees of the part in one paint session. The other parts I handle a different way that I'll show in a few seconds. For these parts that were not able to easily be clipped or attached to a toothpick, I mount them to masking tape. I just take a piece of masking tape, I flip it over, I attach both sides to the paper. This is just a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 that I cut with my X-Acto knife to fit the size I need. And then I paint each part from each side. So I paint it from the front, then I rotate the paper as I just did, and I paint it from the side. Then I rotate it again, I paint it from the back. I rotate it again, I paint it from the other side. Then I take the parts and I put them in a paint dehydrator. For acrylic paint, which is what I'm using here, I believe I'm using Tamiya XF16 flat aluminum, then it goes into a dehydrator. The dehydrator cures the paint in about 5 minutes, and it's done. You have to be careful with dehydrators. You have to make sure you use them on the lowest heat setting. You do not want to exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. If you do, the parts are going to start to get a little soft or warp, and you don't want that. So here you will see the parts going into the dehydrator. It's just a regular food dehydrator that I bought online. This one is a Nesco model, and I've modified the trays, cut some of the parts out, so that it can hold paint bodies and things like that if I want to dehydrate a paint body. And I am adjusting it to its very lowest setting and letting it dehydrate the parts. Now that the parts are out of the dehydrator, I have removed them from the tape, flipped them over so I can do the other side. Now I'm doing the same exact thing on this side. What you're left with at the end is a part that is completely painted on all the sides. You have to make sure that it is cured before you stick it onto the masking tape, of course, or else you will damage the paint on the opposite side. So I always make sure that they are 100% cured, and you can do all of the parts in a kit in an hour this way, and have all of the parts painted and ready to go. I like to paint all the parts up front before I start any assembly, other than parts that get assembled before they get painted. So that when I get to the build stages, I can move right through the process. One thing I didn't mention is that this is for the primary color of the part. Many parts are multiple colors. I usually try to decide if a part is multiple colors, such as these brake rotors that I'm spraying right now, which is going to be the easiest for me to either brush paint the details or mask and paint the details. And then I will paint the part, the color that is the most difficult first. Paint the entire part in that color. And then the part that is easier, such as for me, brake calipers have always been easier for me to paint. I know some guys will paint the whole thing the caliper color and then paint the rotors. I painted the rotor color and then detail the calipers because for me, I have an easier time painting the calipers. So then once all of the parts are in their primary color, then I can go in and do all the detail colors. I usually do that during assembly. I'll go through, I'll get all the parts for a step, I will detail paint all of the necessary detailing, then I will go to assembly for that step. For the exhaust, what I have done is I have taken a small piece of what they used to call tack putty. It's small, it's yellow, it comes in a package. I get them at the Michael's Craft Store. What it's for is you can put paper or things, you can mount things to a wall without using a thumbtack. Sticky tack, they call it. So you take it and you stick a small amount of it on the wall, and then you hang up the picture that you're trying to hang up on the wall, and that results in not having a hole in the wall. Well, what it's also good for is, as you can see what I've done with it here, is I've put it into the recess on the reverse side of the muffler and stuck a toothpick in there, and it holds the part well enough for airbrushing. As long as the part isn't wide and flat and has like any kind of large flat surfaces that the airbrush will just blow it right off the toothpick. So, for example, a muffler or exhaust pipe, as long as it's not wide and flat, your airbrush won't blow it off. So it's a nice, easy way to mount parts to a toothpick for painting. So that's going to wrap up this video number 2 in the Foose Custom Cadillac Eldorod video series. I hope you'll come back and join me for video number 3. We're going to continue on with painting and get into assembly. If you haven't liked the video, go ahead and click that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click subscribe. Come on over and enjoy my future videos so you'll get notifications. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.